لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك الملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك الملك لا شريك لك.
Muslims the world over follow 5 pillars of Islam. The pillars are important acts of worship that develop the Muslim character and strengthen Islam. The 5 pillars are the Shahada, Salah, Zakah, fasting during the month of Ramadan, and performing the holy pilgrimage known as Hajj.
Yes, Hajj is obligatory in the life of a Muslim at least once within the person's lifetime. Barring those that are sick and those unable, those that are ill and unable to travel on the journey towards Makkah, one then has to perform the journey for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Hajj or pilgrimage is one of the 5 pillars of the Islamic faith that start with, number 1, calling all to worshipping the Creator rather than the creation.
Hajj is considered the world's largest human gathering, with more than 2 million pilgrims from all around the world gathering to observe this sacred journey. This holy pilgrimage dates back to the time of the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam.
And that's where you take a spiritual and a physical trip, wherever you are, going back to Mecca, where we believe we touch base with our ancestors, such as Abraham alayhi salam, Prophet Abraham. So we're going back to sort of our center of the birth of monotheism or Abrahamic faith systems, if you were to say, going back 4,000 years ago, where the Prophet Abraham touched and visited that place. We all go back to pay homage to that spiritual journey that he took with his family.
وأذن في الناس بالحج يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر يأتين من كل فج عميق.
Besides the fact that it is obligatory upon a Muslim to perform Hajj once in his or her lifetime, Hajj is a very significant part of one's life. It is a build-up. If one takes a week, one sees Friday as a criteria by which you check your week. Ramadan is by which you check our year and see what we have done, what could improve on and so on. And Hajj is significant and a criteria by which we check our life. So alhamdulillah, in terms of building up our spirituality, our prayer, our fasting, our zakah, and the life of a Muslim, one then builds up towards the Hajj. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك, which in itself holds very significant days, and the best of those days being the day of Arafah, the day of returning towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the day of forgiveness and so on. So within it, it holds great spiritual value, great significance in the life of a Muslim.
Additionally, the Hajj also is a march for freedom. And the march for freedom is because it seems that while we are living our lives, we veil ourselves with materialism. We veil ourselves spiritually with individualism. It's everything becomes me, myself, and I, and what I can see now. Hajj asks us to leave our homes and go to Mecca and march for freedom in circles around the first house that Abraham built, and then go in circles and then go and back and forth between the 2 hills. We go there to follow the footsteps of our father Abraham, but also to pay homage and respect to our mother. So actually Islam calls on all members of its faith and all faithful to go honor women in the symbol of our mother, Hajar. Until today, every single Muslim for the past 1400 years, we actually, when we go to Mecca to perform the Hajj or the pilgrimage, we walk the footsteps of our mother, that woman that we honor. And in that, Islam asked us to actually look up to role models in our mother Hajar as a symbol of the power of women and the leadership of women 4,000 years ago as stars of guidance to society.
The Hajj has been described by many as a journey of a lifetime, and undertaking the pilgrimage involves both spiritual and material preparation.
My name is Khalid Biadin, and my wife Rushta and I performed our Hajj in the year 2017 or 1438.
I made my niyyah for Hajj quite a few years before we actually departed, and as we had registered, I realized that I may be able to perform my Hajj in the year that I turned 40, and my birthday would coincide with Hajj time. So for me, the moment I had registered and that realization had kicked in, it was an inevitability that I would perform my Hajj that year. So my preparations for Hajj just included going to seek some knowledge. So we had attended Hajj classes for about 3 years before we departed for Hajj. There was a lot of introspection for me in terms of, there's this thing where people say I'm not ready. And I kind of spent a lot of that time trying to find the ready. There wasn't really ready. The preparation was actually just telling myself I was born for Hajj.
The Hajj takes place in the holy city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia, and it takes place during the period of Hajj, which is the first few days of the month of Dhul Hijjah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided this place with so much blessings and barakah because of the dua of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. It is mentioned in the Holy Quran that he called upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring people to this valley. And so people from all corners of the world, different nations, different tribes, looking differently, black, white, whatever color, all from different races, different languages converge onto this holy place. So you want to see the world, then one sees it in Mecca.
When Hajj comes, whether anyone, regardless what you are, rich, poor, black, white, anything in between, you remove all your clothing and you wear a white towel, long white towel with no pockets, and there's no distinguishing marks on it. It's just plain white towel, and that is to go to the pilgrimage and move after the steps of our father Abraham, to show each other first that we may be different backgrounds, different colors, different ethnicities, different cultures, but at the end of the day we are one equal being. But we're also all united. It reminds us that we're all one family rather than many, many, many people.
The Hajj is an event unrivaled in its magnitude. Millions of Muslims flock to Mecca in the weeks leading up to the event. But the actual Hajj consists of just 5 specific and life-altering days that will see pilgrims visit Mecca and the holy sites of Arafah, Mina, and Muzdalifah.
By now, the Hujjaj are already in Mecca, but they leave the actual place of the Kaaba, wherever they stay, and they move to an area called Mina. This is where most of the Hajj will actually take place. Place Mina is where we find the Jamarat, or the places where Nabi Ibrahim ﷺ pelted the devil when he was on his way to sacrifice his son. This first day of Hajj is the 8th day of Dhul Hijjah. This day is known in the Arabic language as the day of Yom Tarwiyah.
So planning to go to Mina, we packed in our snacks. Rushda did a whole write-up on a blog and things like that. So We packed in snacks, nothing too heavy. We were advised, carry lightly because you'll get fed, but keep enough in your bag to sustain yourself. I can't even really remember that. All that I just remember is being immersed in what is the days of Hajj. So everybody all around you. I've never slept that closely next to another male on this little mattress with Hujjaj on either side and in front of me. And you bond with people at that time because you're all here for the same thing, and that is to perform your Hajj.
As the days of Hajj arrive, so does the realization that the time has come to forego materialism and worldly distractions and focus only on your Creator.
A big thing for me, the night before we departed for Hajj, we got together and there was a nasiha, and the spiritual leader was taking us through the logistics and what would happen. That night I realized that my period had arrived. And prior to Hajj, you go and you get medication from the doctor so that it would stay away for those 5 days. So part of my preparation was that I'd gone to the doctor, I'd gotten medication, and it didn't work. So the biggest thing for me was that, I'd need to do something now. What did that actually mean for me? And I remember the spiritual leader saying that whatever happens now, whatever happens during that 5 days, it's been decreed to happen in a particular way. And he specifically spoke about women getting their period. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, oh, shucks, okay, so that's me. And I was really unhappy about it. I was practically on the verge of tears. And I listened to his words, and he said, I can be very unhappy about it. So this is how I took his words in. Or I can accept it and make the best of my Hajj in the way that it was meant to happen. So by the time we left for Mina on the first day, I was prepared. And the most important thing for me is that it only meant that I wasn't able to perform my salah, but I could fulfill all my other ibadah, all the spiritual preparation that I put in place. I'd still be able to do it.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's beloved message mentions al-Hajj Arafah, a very short hadith, but it really is very significant that the next day is the greatest of the days of the year, as well as the greatest of the days of Hajj. Al-Hajj Arafah. And what is Arafah? Arafah is to know, or to get to know. We don't really know ourselves. We only come to know ourselves when we are tested or placed in a certain environment and so on. The Prophet also mentions, Man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbahu. He who knows himself, he knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do we really know ourselves? And so with sitting and contemplating and being raw and true to the one who really knows us, who created us, we open up and we identify ourselves with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, saying that we've committed wrong, please forgive us. And the day of Arafah, Allah forgives us.
The point is not to ascend with body and stand on that mountain, but the point is to ascend with the soul and arrive at illumination and realization. And after that, obviously, we stay in Mina, and that's where we camp, and we go to symbolically every day denounce evil.
Alhamdulillah, and now we've got to put our money where our mouth is. We've asked Allah forgiveness, but we've got to physically show it. So at Muzdalifah, at these places where we sit in the open air, we are asked to pick up our pebbles, our armory, with the idea that we do the sunnah of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, the same act that he did when he pelted Shaitan, who tried to discourage him from slaughtering his son.
Well, the stones are used for stoning the devil. For each stone that you throw, you say Allahu Akbar, and that is to hit the devil who gave you a hard time and made sure that you did wrong. So this time, you're punishing the devil and make sure that you never again do it.
We physically show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we're going to pelt the big shaitan. When we pelt the shaitan, we throw it with a pebble, indicating, hoping that shaitan will stay an arm's length away from us. Stone against another stone. And from there, our echo that we made in Ihram, Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, changes to Takbirat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Indicating that part of the journey has been completed, and Allah most definitely, we are acknowledging that you are great. One can then slaughter one sheep and cut one's hair at that specific spot. Some of us see it, some of us don't. One does not have to cut one's hair immediately. So there's allowance within the journey of Hajj. From there, one then goes towards Mecca after not seeing the Kaaba for a very long time. One misses it, it looks different. One is in awe of this building again, alhamdulillah, and one performs Tawaf al-Ifadah. One performs it seeking Allah's forgiveness around the holy Kaaba, the Baytullah, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reenacting what prophets before us have done and our parents have done and those who have walked in the footsteps before us.
Each one has their own experience, their own gift. Allah blesses everyone in their own way. And Rushda and I spent some time together on Arafah where we had written letters to each other, expressing gratitude. My letter to Rushda was that, we'd been married for 23 years. I was extremely grateful for her support and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed me with such an amazing wife. So we wrote letters of love and gratitude and also thanking Allah for blessing us for this journey that we had been waiting for 4 years. So it was an amazing experience.
It felt like, for me, an out-of-body experience. And because it was the day that I was standing on Arafah, having a sacred dialogue with my Creator, it didn't feel as if I was physically on Arafah. So Arafah for me was a surreal experience, a highly spiritual experience. And I know to say it felt like an out-of-body experience sounds a bit fluffy, but there's nothing fluffy about it. It was one of those experiences where like my life made sense, my purpose made sense, and my priorities on earth shifted fundamentally.
Eid al-Adha forms part of the 5 days of Hajj and is a celebration that commemorates the story of the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam being asked to sacrifice his son to God as a test of his faith. Every year on this day, Muslims sacrifice animals as a way of remembering the enduring faith of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam.
The day after Arafah, when one returns after performing Tawaf al-Ifadah and Sa'i, is regarded as a day of slaughtering of animals, and so it is a day of Eid. For those that are on Hajj, they really do not see the Eid as we celebrated back home. They are busy with the ibadah, they are tired, they perform the ibadah in Ihram. It's not very easy, it's warm, heat is against them, but they have received, mashallah, the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala performing Eid.
The moral of the story, with our father Abraham being tested with that by God, would you listen to God if He asked you to offer your son as a sacrifice? I think that was a test for Abraham himself, but for us it's a test to understand the story of Abraham, not to do what Abraham is, because God Almighty does not have any need for a human being to be sacrificed or for an animal to be sacrificed. But it's the symbolic thing that, are you willing to sacrifice that which you love most for the sake of God?
When the pilgrims return to their home countries after their journey of Hajj, they return spiritually refreshed, forgiven for their sins, and ready to start life anew with a clean slate. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, once told his followers that whoever performs the Hajj for the pleasure of Allah and utters no evil words and commits no evil deeds during it shall return from it as free from sin as the day on which his mother gave birth to him.
It's important for one to realize that they're going for the sake of the Creator. It's actually almost departing. It's a journey to depart from this world and come back to it again. But come back to it as a changed human being.
So in terms of people coming from all walks of life to perform the Hajj, each one goes back home because we do not live in Mecca. We go home with the lessons of Hajj. The most important thing for us is to live our Hajj. But most definitely Hajj starts long before one goes and when one returns. So the hope that Allah grants us a life beyond Hajj to be able to continue in this vein. It's easy when one is in an Islamic environment where people form ibadat for Allah's sake, all doing the same rituals at the same specific time. But when one goes home, one is faced with other trials and challenges and so on.
For me particularly, one of the highlights of my Hajj, other than Mina and Arafah and the days of Hajj, was celebrating Rushda's birthday. We woke up really, really early that morning and we made our way to Tanaim, and we then made our niyat to perform an Umrah. And after we finished the Umrah, I had the pleasure and the privilege of being able to make dua for Rushda. And having a stand right by my side, we were virtually looking at the Kaaba, and I was saying shukr to Allah for blessing me and blessing her and giving her the opportunity of celebrating that 40th birthday there, which is something that she'd always wanted to do.
The one lesson that I learned coming back from Hajj was the realization that everybody's actually ready for Hajj. I don't think that there's anything within any person that needs to change for you to be able to go for Hajj. So the one thing is that you're always ready. The other lesson was being able to see what forgiveness looks like, and that we always pray for forgiveness, we always ask for forgiveness, but the other side of the coin is being able to give that. And what does that look like? And the biggest lesson for me was that it needs to be a sincere thing. The priority for me coming back from Hajj has always been what would be the best way in which I can serve my Creator, and that's the way that I'll engage in the world.
So it's a journey as if we're already going to the future and then coming back to do better now this time around. As if it's another opportunity. We've worn the cloth of departure from this world, and we've repented and almost gone out of this world, and now we've had the opportunity to come back only to make this time our life better, loving God better, and loving the creation and people better.
And so the lessons of Hajj is labbaik continuously in your life. So we must continue to be of those who are service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, labbaik for life.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.